Welcome back, trainers. You're with Pewter City Gym, and today we're going to fill in a few new pages in the Solar Region Pokédex. For those unfamiliar, Sola is this channel's ongoing project to create Fakémon to inhabit a region based on Southern California and some of the surrounding areas. We got beaches aplenty, deserts by the mile, rivers, sometimes, and a series of concrete jungles. Creating critters to roam these biomes is something I have a lot of fun with and I love to share. We have a grand total of 40 species so far. If this sounds like your cup of tea, I'd love to invite you to like, subscribe, and chat in the comments. This channel's full of Let's Play stuff, but we're focusing on a lot more art-based content this year, and I'm aiming for at least 2 Fakémon videos a month, which might not sound like a lot, but they take a really long time to make, so bear with me here. Anyway, what are we looking to create this month? Why, the Solar Region's regional cat, of course. Ever since Generation 1, we've had a kitty cat or two pouncing around. Meowth's probably the most well-known one, with a mug that's almost as recognizable as Pikachu himself. Generation 2 doesn't really have one, though. Raikou is clearly modeled on a Smilodon, so we'll let it hang out over here with the other cats. Skitty in Generation 3, of course, my favorite cat Pokemon of all time, and the species that Misty picked for our shared playthrough of Mystery Dungeon DX. In Generation 4, we have Shinx the Lynx alongside Glameow, so double kitten fun to make up for Generation 2, leaving us sort of catless. In Generation 5, we have Purloin, so cute. Generation 6 mystifies us with Esper. In Generation 7, we get our first regional forms, including Meowth. Oh, and Litten too, I guess. Generation 8 gives us another flavor of feline and Galarian Meowth, and we thought that this was going to be the trend forever and ever, with regional Meowths by the score. But in Paldea, we get a Grassy Cat starter and a regular Meowth, so it's fine, whatever. Regional Meowths do make a lot of sense, though. Cats are one of the most adaptable critters in any ecosystem. You can find them from the frozen wastes all the way to the hottest deserts. Introduce house cats into literally any ecosystem and they'll adapt, carve out a niche, and set about systematically exterminating every other species in the area while remaining super cute. Aw, adorable genocide. And here comes a confession. This new Fakémon line of mine was originally intended to be a regional Meowth. I did end up scrapping that idea in favor of a full-on new line of Fakémon, though. As much as I love regional variants, and I mean, who doesn't, I felt like I could be more free to design things my own way without worrying over keeping things Meowthish enough. Plus, while Southern California does have its own stray and feral cat issues, the concept I wanted to use didn't fit in with those sun-bleached, battle-hardened kittens very well. So I went a completely different route, and I'm happy with the results. I hope you are too. Let's head over to the lab and look at some kitties. Yeah, excuse the mess. Last month's Kaiju incident gave me a brand new skylight to admire the sunshine through. I believe the interior design term is indoor-outdoor flow. Anyway, cats. This Fakémon will be based on the Sphinx. Sphinx cats actually originated in Canada back in the 60s. Their makeup includes the domestic shorthair, but other breeds have been used in their creation too, notably the Siamese and the Devon Rex. Another reason I decided to stray away from, unintended, regional Meowths is because the folks over at Weedle made such a cool regional Meowth based on the Sphinx already for Pokemon Xenoverse, and I didn't want to edge up too close on their concept. The Sphinx cat gets a weirdly bad rap. From Dr. Evil's cat to the antagonist from the Cats and Dogs movie to Beerus from Dragon Ball Super, they seem to have this reputation for being evil or evil adjacent, and well, it's not true. Not even a little bit. And I can say this with confidence as I actually have a Sphinx cat. His name is Lord Beerus Gavin Murphy. Gavin for short. And he's just the most loving little doofus of a cat that you can imagine. He rides around the house on my shoulder like Pikachu rides around on Ash. Or, like my furret here. When I work on videos, he's sometimes curled up in a Bjorn slung over my shoulder. All he wants to do with his life is interact with us. He's a non-stop cuddle factory with an eye on ramping up production. He does make trying to get any work done a bit of a challenge, though.
Are you gonna help Dad draw today? Gavin, are you going to draw a picture? I mean, it sure would be great if you could just, maybe if you could not stand on that, that would be optimal. What are you gonna draw, buddy? What would you like to draw? Yes, our favorite pastime, destroying everything that Dad loves. I love you.
This one time, I was chatting with Gabe from Froopy Art. I stepped away from my computer for a few minutes, and he managed to send this wall of text to poor Gabe by sitting on the keyboard. So I made him apologize. On a side note, I've seen them referred to as emotional support goblins, and well, it fits. Oh, and for anyone worrying, his ear is like that all the time. He was just born that way. It's a goofy little feature, but it doesn't cause him any harm and, in my opinion, just adds to his cuteness and uniqueness. In short, I love my cat very, very much, and I wanted to make him into a Pokémon, so that's what we're doing. The design for the first form is just a very cute, squishy-looking kitten. It has some features borrowed from other cat Pokémon to allude to a shared heritage. The colors are kind of skitty-ish, there's a curl to the tail, a little like a Meowth, and it has those cute little glammy owl paws. But it has some features that are all its own too. The ears with the scalloped shape, the rings of extra skin that loop around the neck and lower legs. Sphinx cats, because you can see every wrinkle in their skin, tend to have this folded, crumpled kind of look, and I wanted to take that and exaggerate it. Because it has no hair, I wanted the skin to look glossy and shiny, kind of like bubblegum. The concept of elasticity will come into play a little later. The eyes are probably the most I've ever deviated from official Pokemon art style on purpose, just because I had this thought in my head of how I wanted them to look and I couldn't let it go. And here we have Palpur, the friendly Pokemon. This feline Pokemon shares ancestry with Meowth and Skitty. It's an affectionate, adaptable companion who will shower good trainers with care non-stop. Its elastic skin allows it to take many forms. Here are your stats and moves. Being a pure fairy type, we have a few fairy type moves as well as a few basic elemental attacks. The name? Pal and Purr. Super easy. Though I had to resist the urge to change it to Purr Pal and make all of its evolutions purple. Anyway, yeah, evolutions, multiple. My concept for this set of Evos is that with Sphinx cats, they really need clothes. Even here in sunny Southern California, Gavin gets chilly if he doesn't have a sweater on. Man has more shirts than I do. Feline fashion is a fun field as well. There's all kinds of cool accessories you can snag for your four-footed friend, and I wanted to lean into that concept. While traveling the region, you'd come across stores that would sell collars for your kitty. They'd be adorned with various evolution items as a fashion statement, but equip one to your Palpur and raise it to level 25, and it would evolve into a form that incorporates the element of the item embedded in its collar. This is where that elasticity comes into play. It's a cat that has bendable, moldable qualities based on external forces. Like how you can reshape gum like clay or Play-Doh. Not only does the cat inside grow, but the clothes change as well. Let's start with the Thunderstone collar. This is a longer, lankier evolved form, built for speed and power. The collar is grown and morphed into a billowing, cloudy shoulder ruff that's thundercloud gray, with lightning jabbing out of it. I wanted to hint at the stat spread using body shape and clothing design. And here we have Thunpur, the Thundercloud Pokemon. Thunpur generates static electricity at levels that should be impossible for a Pokemon without a dedicated electricity-producing organ. It mostly uses this electric charge to stun prey before pouncing, usually bird Pokemon. Here are your stats and moves. You can see that it gathers up a lot of electric-type attacks, also Storm Throw. So for our next form, we'll be looking at the Waterstone Collar Evolution. The Waterstone is one of my favorite items in Pokemon. Those colors. It has a similar build to Thunpur, but its collar becomes a nifty scarf instead of a big ruff. You'll notice that all these Fakémon have face, tail, and paw markings like a Siamese. A little mask over the muzzle, and colored extremities to match. As I mentioned earlier, the Sphinx has Siamese ancestry, so this makes sense to me, and breaks up that pink coloration in a fun way. And here we have Dripper, the riverbend Pokemon. Dripper love to swim in shallow water, where they will create whirlpools and eddies to trap and catch fish Pokemon. They can't stay in the water forever though, as they get entirely too cold. Here are your stats and moves. We've traded physical for special as the dominant attacking stat, and speed is lowered. All these evolutions will have stats that are variations on this theme. taking points from one area to buff another, changing the battle style of each evolution to make them more unique. So, what's next? Well, let's go for the Firestone evolution. Seems to make sense, right? This is a special defense focused Evo, and that's kind of indicated by the accessory turning into a big ruff and hood covering up the head. It's also standing on its hind legs with slightly different proportions to the prior two. Each of these critters has slightly different body shapes just to keep the designs interesting and fresh. Less like each one is just the same Pokemon in a different set of clothes, which I know that's kind of what they are, but there are other changes that make them different. This fellow is a little stockier and thicker. And here you have Pyropur, the campfire Pokemon. This evolution of Palpur are extremely affectionate and love nothing more than to warm up their trainers' cold hands or feet. Make sure to have plenty of dried twigs on hand. These are a vital source of nutrition.
Here are your stats and moves. Pretty similar to the other evolutions all around, but again, a big focus on special defense.
Our last stop on this evolution journey is the Ice Stone. So you might notice a few similarities between this little guy and another Fakemon that I created recently. I'd love to say that this was coincidence, but I don't really believe in them. Palpur is kind of like the region's version of Eevee in that it can produce a wide variety of evolved forms using stones, and Yetion was created as a contest entry in the Evil Eevee Extravaganza. Both are ice types, both are white and pink. Personality-wise though, completely different. While Yetion will blithely lead you deeper into the snowy waste to freeze to death, this evolved form of Palpur is the personification of cold hands, warm heart, and is literally the friendliest and bravest of these evolutions so far. And here we have Numpur, the snowdrift Pokemon.
Numpur have been used for decades to search out people lost in the snow. Sola gets snow in frequently enough now that this occupation is less common, but dedicated Numpur trainers still exist high in the mountains. Numpur will risk its own life without a thought to save lost travelers.
Here are your stats and moves. Like I mentioned earlier, this evolution is much more physically bulky with a good defense and HP. Moves follow a similar pattern to the other evolved forms. In terms of abilities, you've got Cute Charm for Palpur. That makes it possible for attackers to become infatuated with Palpur upon contact. All evolved forms that start here get the Overcoat ability upon evolution. This protects all of them from weather damage. If Palpur has its hidden ability, Pixelate, which changes normal type moves into fairy type moves, each evolved form will have adaptability, which powers up moves of the same type. Especially useful as these dual types already have some pretty nice move pools. Here are your shiny forms. Bought that PAL idea back. And I'm really happy with them. And here's the gooey looking little gumdrop of an egg. So where would you find Palpur? Is it out there roaming in the wild? No, it is not. Sphinx cats actually can't survive in the wild. They make terrible strays. This Pokemon must be bought from special Pokemarts that have a live Pokemon section. I know that traditionally Pokemon aren't available for purchase except in the game corner back in Kanto. However, this is an exception. These marts are also where you buy the collars. There are 5 different places that you can buy them, the second town, Amethyston, being one of them, and they will cost you a whopping 12,000 Poke-Yen. When you buy it, it's level 10, and as a complimentary gift, you can pick one of the collars for no additional charge. The collars themselves cost a whopping 5,000 Poke-Yen each, which is a hefty chunk of change for early in your journey altogether. You probably wouldn't have saved up enough to buy one on your first trip to Amethyston, let alone an additional collar, so this will be a reason to backtrack and snag one once you've walloped enough trainers and sold enough start pieces. And there you have it, trainers. I hope you like this little kitty. I had a lot of fun coming up with it. One of the cool things about a Pokemon like this is that you have so many options for evolutions based on evolution items. What other types of collars would you want to see? Give me some ideas in the comments and I might draw them up. Next month we'll be looking at some creepy crawlies to balance out all this cuteness. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm really looking forward to catching you in the next video, but until then, take care. Bye!